Is not being able to have sex a deal breaker? So I have this too. Not as bad, but have been through flare-ups that made me have to stop. Always made me feel awful, but I have still had pretty normal relationships. I have seen guys with micros who can't have intercourse either who ask the same thing. I have a friend with vaginismus and she is happily engaged, so nah. Sex does not equal intercourse. You can have sex in many ways, if you want to. But yes, people who don't need or want any sex but want a relationship exist. Kinda confused at all the people saying this person is perfect for an asexual partner. They are not asexual. They still have a libido and would enjoy and want other forms of sexual intimacy. An asexual person is absolutely not the perfect match. And to answer the question, not being able to have penetrative sex is a deal breaker for a lot of people. But equally lots of people would be able to overlook that if the sex life is otherwise healthy. Sure, it makes finding a partner more difficult. But definitely there are people who would be willing. I've had a relationship with someone who was like that. She had suffered from vaginismus due to childhood trauma, but we've worked around it in different ways while we were trying to improve her situation. Anal was legit a much better option for her and we just needed to be more creative. Not a doctor. But if it is vaginismus, there are treatments that are effective for some women and we've come a long way from this being shameful. If your condition is vaginal pain from penetration, you might still be able to have children of your own. If it's bleeding and/or extreme dryness, it might also be related to endometriosis, vaginal atrophy, or one of the related syndromes that can be alleviated. I don't know how far you took diagnosis, but you shouldn't settle on not having a proper diagnosis for a condition that is clearly going to frustrate you and take pleasure away. You deserve at least naming it. Fuck this being a deal breaker, you deserve a shot at sex too. There is always someone. If they love you and they know about it, then you can totally have a good relationship. Oh yes, it's possible. My wife and I both prefer oral. In fact, we have sex a few times a week on average, and probably 8 or 9 times out of 10 it's just oral for both of us. It may take some searching for the right partner, but it's definitely possible. Yes, for the vast majority of people it will be a deal breaker. But there are also many who might not mind. Perhaps they are that rare minority that are asexual. More common, there are men who absolutely do not want children and much prefer other means of sexual intercourse than standard PIV. Some people would be fine, happy to be in a relationship. It is going to be more difficult for you to find them than the average person. Without knowing how old you are, I assume that as a general rule the older the person the less it will matter. Edit. 20 years ago I would have thought it was important, now not really, as long as we liked being together and some of the same activities. I don't think it'd be a deal breaker for me personally. I'll often forget sex is a thing until someone initiates and I go, oh right, that's a thing. I'm so sorry. This must be so stressful for you. I just wanna say, penetrative sex isn't the only form of sex. You can potentially please your partner in so many other ways. And vice versa. Toys, hands, mouths, butts, kissing, foreplay, etc. To me, the intimacy is the main thing. And I never orgasm from PIV anyway, so I could live without it. I definitely think you could make it work. And even have a very active sex life if you wanted to. It wouldn't work for everyone. Sure, but honestly I'd be okay with it, and I'm sure a lot of others would be too. And as for not having kids, a lot of people don't want kids anyway. Don't give up. Just be honest when you're dating someone new. And if you're compatible on that front, you could have a great relationship. People with all kinds of disabilities can still have active sex lives. We've kind of been conditioned to believe that PIV sex is the be-all and end-all of sex. It's not. If sex is something you want, you can make it work. If it's not, that's also totally okay. It'll just mean a lot of my advice is redundant and you can ignore it, haha. Also, I know you've said asexuals are such a small percentage of the population. But that doesn't mean you'll only meet 1 or 2 in your life. 1% is still a lot of people. Only if that's something you're interested in, of course. Just because you can't have PIV sex doesn't mean you should only date ace people forever. Just reassuring you that people are out there. Asexual people are not your only option. Everyone needs to stop saying as much. Do you enjoy sex other than penetration? Then it is possible to find someone who is open to a sex life that does not include penetration. I am a deeply sexual person, but penetrative sex isn't the only way for 2 people to experience pleasure and intimacy. I was adopted, so again, there's more ways to be a parent than one. I see a lot of relations predicated on a sort of "you meet my needs" instead of "we really are comparable and genuinely want to be together. Best of luck." My wife and I frequently have sexy time, which is not penetrative sex, but we both have a good time. Be upfront though. Honesty and communication are key. Saying that they should date ace people is like telling an ugly person to date blind people. Come on, do better. The answer is yes. For a lot of people it's going to be a deal breaker. As someone, 29F, who has had vaginal pain all her life and in long periods been unable to have PIV sex, you can have great and satisfying sex with these kinds of conditions, as well as healthy and loving relationships. Sex is so much more than penetration. Will everyone want to date you? No. Just like everyone doesn't want to date people with other issues like depression or inability to keep a job. But many people will. My advice is find out what you're comfortable with, what you want in a relationship and your sex life, and find your boundaries. Don't let anyone pressure or persuade you into doing something that causes you pain or discomfort. And don't think for a second you must put up with pain to get someone to like you. Is ass stuff out of the question? I'm in a loving relationship of 7 years with my girl, and she has not been able to have sex due to medical reasons for months. It's been a year or, most likely, longer since she's gone down on me. I love her dearly, and it doesn't bother me at all that she has so many problems. My only issue is that she also doesn't seem interested in my body so much anymore. I don't care so much about sex, but I miss feeling close to her. And I wish she would at least try to show interest in touching me sometimes. I hope this gave you some insight. Kudos to you for asking. I've straight up assumed it was impossible, and I'm floored by the responses to realize it's not. But now I have no idea how TF to proceed. When TF do you tell people you can't have PIV intercourse? The first date? Over an app? In my personal description? Like what? These all seem like bad ideas.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.